performer, most people see me illuminated. I am on stage under the hot lights, shimmying and singing with my band, the Flavr Blue. Or I am broadcast in high definition, or on the radio, or on YouTube with my work with Macklemore and Ryan Lewis. I am a polished, finished product. In fact, being a performer is kind of like being a really fancy plated dish at a restaurant when you're out for a nice meal, because expectation is through the roof, and presentation is everything. The first taste sets the palate for the rest of the meal, and you instinctually form an opinion, and a memory is made. This is how we enjoy the finer things in life, whether it be art or food, and both me and the dish are left at the end of the night wondering, did anybody Instagram about us? We rarely think about what this plate takes to get in front of you in the first place. And I'm not talking about where the food comes from and whether it's organic, but like who conspired to make it. The long hours of intention and process behind it, the unseen system that makes it possible for the plate to arrive in front of you. When we're in the midst of an experience, it's sometimes hard to remember, what does it take to get to the table? My story starts in my mother's Chinese restaurant. My mom immigrated to the US from Hong Kong when she was only 19 years old, with only a little bit of money and only a little bit of English, but an overwhelming ambition. Her rollicking professional path took her from fast food service to being the manager overnight at a Denny's, to getting her real estate license, and then finally, when she was pregnant with me, buying a Chinese restaurant in our small suburban town of Petaluma, California. The restaurant was on the main drag, and my mom wanted to make a statement with her cuisine. Chinese-American comfort favorites, but served with fresh, local produce. And in a revolutionary twist in 1987, no MSG. Growing up, my mom was a total boss. In the kitchen, she was Miss Wong. She was stern and empathetic to the Chinese immigrants that worked in the kitchen, some of whom were our distant relatives. And I would sit shotgun with her as she went to go pick up the fresh ingredients and local produce herself, from the mushroom farm to the egg farm to the extremely unfortunate smelling duck farm. By the way, my mom is like absolutely convinced that she invented the new farm-to-table craze, so maybe she'll be appearing at the next TEDx talk. In the dining room, she cultivated meaningful relationships with her customers. In fact, one of her customers was the superintendent at a better-funded school district than ours, and through him coming into the kitchen and them forming a relationship, we were able to secure a transfer so that we could get a better education. My first memories were in the kitchen. The fiery woks, the steaming fry baskets as they put down egg rolls and crab stars into eager grease. I felt just as comfortable being in the kitchen there, sneaking cashews into my mouth and helping to fold wontons, as I did in the office, as I diligently drew on the back of banknotes as my mom calculated payroll, as I did in the dining room, as I interrupted customers on a regular basis with freewheeling anecdotes and unsolicited fun facts. My mom taught me that in a restaurant, there's always something to do. If it's not bringing water to the table, it's folding napkins, or sweeping the floor, or sorting receipts, or prepping for the next day. Being idle was never an option, and that suited a hyperactive me just fine. Because whether it was in the dining room, or on stage, or just like out and about by a riverside, I was a natural performer. And thankfully, my mom nurtured my creative habits and put me into choir and theater programs. But as I grew older into a teenager, I started to feel a distance between myself and the parts that I had been assigned to act and sing, an unresolved tension between a show business standard and the offbeat way that I saw the world. So going through my teenage years, I felt a lot of pressure that I internalized. I felt pressure to perform, to be successful, to be something that I felt like I wasn't at all. And I kept it all bottled up. But my life changed one fateful night when a friend of mine invited me to a teenage poetry slam in San Francisco, run by the organization Youth Speaks. Youth Speaks was a collection of badass young people who wrote with a raw passion and performed with a confidence that absolutely floored me. Poets got up there and shared their voices, their stories, their defiant dreams, their personal disasters, and the crowd was electric, cheering and supporting and affirming their voices. And I left so empowered, alive with the challenge of telling my own story. I jumped feet first into spoken word. I met one of my best friends through Youth Speaks named Maddie, and she and I started a hip-hop group called Canary Sing. Fueled by our politics, we would perform and rap wherever we could, including actually this stage right here. We would perform in high school classrooms, at nonprofit organizations and grassroots fundraisers until the community saw us and supported us, and we started to perform on festival stages and nightclub stages, sometimes alongside our artistic heroes. Ooh. I can't say that my mom was too thrilled about my decision to get into hip hop. Being a rapper was not exactly on her list of approved career choices. She was hoping more that I would be a Broadway star than enter into a freestyle cypher. And I couldn't help but shoulder guilt that my trajectory was taking me so far away from the path that she had wanted from me, the path that would have validated the very real sacrifice and strife that she experienced to come to this country and raise us right. It was a crazy paradox. I felt affirmed and supported entirely by my creative community, but I also felt like a total failure. I've continued on my path, and that took me to another restaurant, this time in Seattle, Washington. Hidmo was an Eritrean restaurant stationed in the Central District where people from all over the city would come together for good food and rich conversation about gentrification and inequity and social justice. The main dining room served as an all-ages open mic and venue space and also as a hot meeting spot. And people from all backgrounds would come together to share and to converse and to break bread, or injera as it were, and share their stories and be connected in community. Hidmo, as a budding activist and artist, was my home. And it was there that I got to meet Blue Scholars, who had been a rap group from Seattle that had been one of my biggest inspirations as I had begun my own hip-hop career. I became friends with them at the Hidmo, and through that opportunity, they offered me a position to work with them doing communications and helping them to self-release their album. Through working with the Blue Scholars, I realized that it took business smarts and strategy and analysis to get into music and really support yourself as an independent artist. And I started to grow the confidence and skills that I could create my own recipe for a sustainable career in the arts. At Hidmo, I connected with Blue Scholars, who connected me with Zia Mohajer-Josby, a director. And literally in the kitchen at Hidmo, Zia offered me the opportunity to produce for another local band whose video he was making, and that was Macklemore and Ryan Lewis. At the time, I knew nothing about music video production at all, but my answer was an unequivocal yes. I knew that I could just get into the kitchen and figure it out. Working on that music video was so much work, long hours over months, working alongside the music video, or the director and the musicians to make something great, something beautiful, ambitious, much larger than the sum of our parts. And through working on that music video in the sweltering heat of production and logistics, new opportunities emerged for me that I wouldn't have anticipated otherwise. On this music video, I ended up getting the opportunity to write the hook of the song, which was one of the first hooks that I had ever written in my entire life. And once that music video was done, I was given the opportunity to perform and to write and to produce alongside them, which grew into many years worth of opportunities, and somehow, remarkably, my first and hopefully not my last Grammy nomination. When I attended the Grammys, I took my mom as my date because she informed me that there would be absolutely no other option. For this was her reward for sticking with me and supporting me, even though she might have had a little doubt here and there, for my freewheeling path as an artist. And for her, this was like the first taste, a little taste of success in terms of what I was able to do in mainstream culture, which was what she had always wanted for me all along. Standing on the red carpet with all of the lights illuminating my face and my mom standing by my side, I had a deep realization that it was not a contradiction of me growing up in my mother's Chinese restaurant that I had become a hip-hop musician and suddenly found myself here. It was actually because I grew up in a restaurant, because of my upbringing from my mother and my environment, that shaped the values and honed the perspectives that entirely inform my creative approach. See, it all starts in the back of the house. It's the engine that makes the whole thing go. That's where the unseen hours of prep work takes place. That's the quiet alchemy of creating something new. It's the collaboration. It's the gritty and the unglamorous. And that's where I see my creative process happening. For me, my creative process is that kitchen. Whether it be quiet and solitary or raucous and chaotic and sweaty and not cute. That's what people don't see, but that's where the creation happens, and that's where the magic takes place. And then you bring it to the front of the house, where you create the environment and the atmosphere that the audience and the community will see. Have you guys ever been to a restaurant and the server comes out and does something like totally crazy and amazing, like set a dessert on fire? Or carve a pig? That's what the front of the house is all about. You have to present and you have to do it with flair. And so for me, bringing my art into the community, into the public eye, the fray, the discourse, that's where the art comes alive. Finds eyes, ears, and senses. It's amplified and lit. It's through that connectivity that why the art matters is made. For me, every day, being a creative artist is basically like opening up the restaurant of my creative mind. I think about the back of the house. I think about the sweat and the sacrifice and the sleepless hours. I think about the friction and the conflict and the grit and the fire that it takes to create something amazing. And I think about the front of the house. I think about the stage. I think about the experience, and I think about the connectivity, the interaction, the real discourse that must be created in order for your art to mean anything at all. A restaurant is all about bringing people together, and I firmly believe in shared space as creating something that truly can make an impact way greater than what we individually can do, kind of like what we're doing here today. My mom taught me with equal parts grace and hustle. She taught me that there is a balance between serving up what people love and recognize and are familiar with, and providing just enough ingenuity, just enough creativity to leave them wanting more. To me, that's what being an artist is all about, fueling that terrain, fueling that symbiosis and navigating that terrain. And she and I both know that had I not started in the back of the house, had not started in the kitchen, inspired and electrically alive with the process of collaboration, I never would have made it into the spotlight, onto the stages that I've been so lucky to touch. My mom is an artist too. Through being an immigrant and being an entrepreneur, she flipped the script on what she had been given. She set her own course and charted her own narrative. So for me, if I'm an extension of her, I'm always thinking, what new reality am I crafting? What course am I navigating? What arc will I chart? What brave new world do I dare to author into existence? How will I provide support and resources and help for the people that come after me, the next generation, in the same way that she provided for me? Although I may have a foot in the door and an eye on the mainstream, I know that my future success will never come by ascribing to what is expected of me. I know that I must shift. I must stretch beyond what I've been given. After all, it's a family tradition.